Hello, Arcs Defenders, Refia here. This is the Soaring Blades Renewal guide that I made 1 week, I think. I think I understood most of the things that you should be doing with the renewal. So here it is. So, Soaring Blades is a pair of blades that can fire off photon blades with its weapon skills, weapon actions, and photon arts. It is a melee weapon capable of dealing lots of damage and has many versatile attack options, allowing it to deal damage in almost every scenario. It is a very different rhythm compared to a lot of other melee weapons due to its long animation, photon arts, and skills. I really like playing Soaring Blades because it's so free-flowing and so cool. I really like the blades shooting out everywhere, and it just has a unique class fantasy compared to other weapons. So, here are the pros and cons of playing Soaring Blades. It has versatile tools, allowing you to deal damage in almost every scenario, all good counters, and good damage for stationary targets, range options, and decent mob. Applies physical decline, which is a unique debuff that can be applied by Soaring Blades, which makes the target gain more physical down accumulation. In some encounters, this means that it may inflict an extra down, or it will speed up the break and physical down timings of bosses. You can press another Photon Art during any time of another PA, another Photon Art, to shift into a different version immediately and go straight for a finisher. It adds a lot of versatility and flexibility to the kit. Cons. The PP economy could be janky at times because it doesn't have any passive PP recovery during its rotation. Most of its PP recovery is tied to Pinion Blade and Fanatic Blade, so it's kind of weird sometimes, but overall you shouldn't have any problems. Has a weird feel compared to other weapons because its weapon action has 2 different states, and the photon arts are pretty comparatively long compared to a lot of other weapons. It still also relies on step counters. It has some weak normal attacks. It's been buffs ever since the renewal, but it's still best to avoid them overall. So yeah, and you cannot cancel photon arts with a weapon action like other weapons, which is weird at first for most people, but there are ways to go around it since weapon action during photon arts can be used to parry. Now we go to the photon arts of Soaring Blades. All of them are bird themed, so all of them have bird names. It is really funny, I think. So, our first photon art is Rampaging Harrier. It does a flurry of slashing attacks that ends with a photon blade rain, or can be shifted into a firing 4 photon blades that tracks a target. It is a bread and butter photon art that is used in almost all scenarios. It has the most DPS and doesn't move you that much, so that it is our most consistent and most damaging photon art. Since crafting photon arts are now a thing, Type 3 is our best craftable version of Rampaging Harrier, but do note it is currently bugged right now that it cancels its effect when you activate your Blade Art parry. So for now, using no customs is the best way, but if Type 3 gets fixed, it will be our best. The shifted version of this photon art, which fires 4 blades that tracks targets, is good, but it does less damage than the rain. So it's mostly like a situational thing. You use the shifted version to chase targets that run away. So our second photon art is Roaring Pheasant. You slash and spin toward a target, and at the end you do a big slash that deals big damage. Can be shifted anytime during the spinny slash to stay in place and be a slashy song. It is our best gap closing photon art as it does the most damage out of the other gap closers, although it is very clunky because it travels along a straight line and never changes direction after the initial targeting. It saves its hits when you're not hitting anything until you hit the target, which unloads all of the rest of the hits. This makes it useful for pre-firing as well. And then the shifted version sometimes has a special property when you're locked into a target. You can go down in elevation by holding back. It is doing pretty good damage now as well. Our third photon art is Raving Falcon. Fires waves of photons from your blades. Can be shifted into a dashing attack that has good tracking. The range of the dash has been significantly reduced though compared to the pre-renewal, but it is still pretty good for chasing targets because it's very fast and snappy. It is an amazing range photon art, allowing you to keep uptime on targets in most scenarios. Also good for mobbing, as the waves penetrate through the targets until the waves disappear when it reaches the maximum range. Shifted version is nice and quick for repositioning, as it is snappy and fast. And lastly, Destructive Stork. Conjures huge photon blades that spin around you that deals damage over a wide area. Can be shifted to turn into vertical spin slashes, which do strong and quick damage. Generally, this is Soaring Blade's best mobbing option, as it is a very wide area to hit. Can move around a bit while casting the final parts of this animation. Shifted version is a strong finisher and also lifts you up. The positional adjustment can be helpful sometimes or detrimental depending on the situation. So we now go to useful shifts. So we have the Stark Shift, the Destructive Stark Shift. It is our highest DPS shift, but it also lifts you. It could be detrimental to positioning or good if you need an extra boost to reach a target. 7 hit Harrier to Stark Shift is pretty good DPS, and any other combination also works. So Stark, Falcon to Stark, 7 hit Harrier to Stark, those things. Peasant Shift. So this is another DPS shift that we use. It is our longest duration shift, so it also does good DPS. So it is some usage when it comes to conserving photon power because of its long duration. There's also a special effect if you hold down back, like I said before. When you hold back and you lock into a target, you can descend a little bit on your elevation. Pretty good. And now we have the lower damage shifts, but mostly utility shifts, if I would call it. The Falcon Shift. If your target goes away for some of your prior hits or you need a redirection of your presence, this usage is really straightforward. You just dash anytime during your photon art so that you can keep on the target if you wanted. It is the least damaging out of the shifts, but it still has some usage. And lastly, our Harrier Shift. This used to be our best shift before, but now it's been giga nerfed. It's now basically a situational range tool that we use whenever a target just runs away and you don't want to follow the target. It's pretty good still, but avoid using too much. Also, if you're already in the middle of a Falcon, be sure to just let the Falcon go through because the Raving Falcon does more damage than Harrier Shift at all. So that's all our photon arts. Now we go to the non-photon art actions. So firstly, our weapon action. It is a flowy, glidey dodge that fires 2 photon blades. It has a dodge frames where if you successfully dodge an attack with that, an audible ding goes off and allows you to do a special counter attack by pressing your SB normal attack. This can be only done outside of photon arts. Blade arts parry flash counter edge. Since you cannot use the weapon action dodge during your photon arts, you instead get a parry if you get the corresponding skill. This parrying action does not interrupt your current photon art that you are doing, and you can repeat the parry every time you successfully block an attack with it. Getting the Blade Arts parry counter edge skill as a counter attack whenever you successfully parry an attack with Blade Arts parry. Normals. Our normals are a 3-part combo. It is pretty weak, but can be useful if you have trouble not having enough PP to keep using photon arts. The last attack fires a cross wave. It has been buffed a little bit, so it's not that bad anymore to use, but we still try to avoid using. Step counter / blade counter alternation. Whenever you successfully dodge with your step dodge, You can press your normal attack button to counter with a powerful attack. With the blade counter alternation skill, it changes that you can also do it when you successfully dodge with your weapon action. It also changes it into a fast attack that instantaneously dodges to your target. So we are now going into the skills that are very flashy and very cool looking. So firstly, we have Fanatic Blade. It is an active skill that improves all of our Photon Arts. It has a 30-second duration with a 90-second cooldown. So essentially, it's like a 25% uptime. It amplifies the damage of all Soaring Blade's BAs by adding blades to them. The way these blades fire during the Photon Arts are fixed into the specific parts of the Photon Arts and have their own fixed values. I will not be covering the specific potencies in this video, but if you want to learn more, you could look at Deathframe's attack table sheet. But basically, during Fanatic Blade, the strongest one to be using is to be spamming Harrier with a weapon action in between. This is the most damage I've seen so far, but things are still new, so I'm too not sure about this yet. Other things like Falcon and Stork are still do pretty good damage if you need to like close the gap. Pinion Blade. It is an active skill that you charge by doing any damaging action with Soaring Blades. It is a very, very big blade that hits a wide area with huge damage. It has a 30-second cooldown. It is very powerful and very strong and could be used on cooldown. It also gives you 100 PP back, so it helps out your PP economy. And now we go into the skill tree stuff. Most things are self-explanatory on the skill tree, and there's way too many skills to be discussing about, but I explained a few things that aren't as clear. And here's my recommended skill tree for Soaring Blade mains. Physical and Elemental Decline applies a debuff when you're using Soaring Blades for physical decline, and Jet Boots for Elemental Decline. This debuff increases the party's overall down factor versus the target, which means faster breaks, faster downs, and could potentially result into 1 and 2 extra downs on the target. Special Ability Optimization Buff takes the bigger value between your melee and technique potencies from your gear and applies it to both Soaring Blades and Jet Boots, which means you don't really need to have both stats to be high to make use of either weapons. Just one of the potencies being higher is fine. So basically, if you have like 160 potency plus 160 potency on melee and 150 technique potency, it will take the 160 potency for melee and apply it to both Jet Boots and Soaring Blades. Similarly, if your like tech is like 160% and your melee is 150%, it will take your technique instead and use it for both Soaring Blades and Jet Boots. Partial Destroy Advantage. This is like one of the main reasons why Bulk Sub is preferred in a lot of cases. It grants the user a damage bonus for every part broken on the target. So on main class, when it's maxed out, it's a 2% increase, and on a subclass, it's a 1% increase. Maxing out at 3 parts broken, so it's like a 6% bonus damage increase for bow mains and 3% increase for bow subs. So things like solos, when you're constantly breaking the pimples, balloons, bits, I don't know what you call them, or arms, you max out this bonus skills effects constantly early into the fight. Photon Blade PP Recovery. It allows your weapon action Photon Blades or Fanatic Blades Photon Blades to stick to the target. Pre-Renewal, this skill was useless before because it only affected your normal attacks. Now it helps all of your offensive PP recovery tools. So your Pinion Blades gets a 20% bonus PP, so it's like 100 to 120, and Blade Counter Alternation as well, and also probably Blade Art Parry Counter Edge. So it is pretty good now. Pretty good free PP economy for Soaring Blades now. It also maxes on like 4 blades, so 5% for each blade, so it maxes on 20% additional offensive PP recovery. So now we go to how to play the game, the class, the blades, the soaring, the bird blades. So the gameplay is mostly very similar to all the other classes, mostly focusing on getting counters. You spam your Photon Arts, primarily mostly higher, and at times using all the other Photon Arts to for mobility and range, and parry as much as you can with BAP, dash counter with Blade Arts counter, alternation, using your active skills of cooldown, but sometimes you can delay them if you want, and weaving weapon action after every action. It's been found out that weaving after every action makes your PP economy a little bit better and gives you more chances to get more counters, and it's more overall more DPS from what I've seen. There's like some kind of animation canceling happening with weaving weapon action in between Photon Arts, so I think it is good. It is not entirely concrete yet, but it's good to like practice to do after every action. Using both Pinion Blade and Fanatic Blade on cooldown will make your DPS consistently high and also keep your PP economy afloat. So to like summarize it, here's a chart that you can use, a flow chart if you will. Try to understand what I tried to put here, but I hope this is very, very simple to understand and you get what I'm trying to say here. So now for advanced techniques. I think you've heard about this, but you've heard of BAPs, right? Blade Arts Parry Step Counter. BAPs for short. It's basically fitting in 2 counters in 1 frame by using the Blade Arts Parry during a single attack, and also step countering to catch the same attack. So basically it's a double counter in like a very small amount of time. Since we also have a new weapon action counter, this could be also extended into BAP whack or BAPs or Blade Art counter, Blade Art parry counter, Blade Art parry, Blade Art parry weapon action counter, BAP whack. It's basically a special BAPs, but it's only doable during the end of the animation of your Photon Arts, because you can only do weapon action during the end of your Photon Art. And since Blade Art Parry has its counter edge, and you can do it multiple times during your Photon Art, there's ways where you can like multi Blade Art Parry counter target if it is like a lingering multi-attack hitbox. So here's for example, it does a lot of damage, if you can see. I think we'll just call it counter edge spam, right? Overall, I think the Renewal did a lot of things right, but also left a lot of problems in the table. But it's fine, the weapon's more fun now. I think I've warmed up to like the changes. It's pretty fun, pretty flowy, pretty good. And that's all for this Soaring Blades guide. I hope you learned a lot of things. I hope you had fun listening to me ramble about the things that we've discovered. And I hope you like and subscribe to this channel.